Good morning, fellow option traders. This is Jeff, and today is Monday, December 10th, 2012, and welcome to the Daily Scan. Well, another day closer to the cliff, as they say. I think that whether there's an agreement in Washington or not, there is a cliff that we are going over. Some cliffs, well, the fall is bigger than others, I guess you might say. All right, let's take a look at the markets. Well, let's wait to take a look at the markets until the end, because I want to show you a nice feature of the Thinkorswim platform, which is profit charts. And it's just I only use profit charts for one thing, and that's a comparison. And I'd like to show you a few interesting things when we get to that point. Looking at our current, let's look overall at it. Let's look at the spread account. We're doing okay here. I don't think we're in danger on any of these positions. We're still waiting for Chipotle here to start turning a profit, but that's typically what happens on an iron condor. Sometimes even that happens on a credit spread. In our calendar, like I mentioned last week, our insurance policy here is just about kaput. And for those of you who are not familiar with that term, that means it's in the toilet, I guess you might say. But it's still out there. We still have a couple weeks left on it. We'll just see what happens. And on our Profit Tent portfolio, I did a video yesterday. You might want to check that out. Talked about adding a position, an iron condor on RUT, another one, and we're going to be positioning it in between the current strikes that we have open on it, and it's going to bring in a nice credit. I can't do a lot more until I get out of the December, because I'm already sitting at $13,000 at risk, and that's I don't want to go too much more on this particular account, even though the December is in very good shape, and we should be exiting that pretty close to max profit later this week or early next week. We'll just keep an eye on what's going on. Alright, so we will do a quick scan of our friendly little A+ list. Apple is continuing its slide. Things are looking hopeful on Thursday. Had a huge up day, and then Friday it gapped up at the open here, and here it gapped up at the open, and spent most of the rest of the day selling off. There just is not an entry point here unless you wanted to go to this particular chart for a very short term. But I am not going to play Apple for a while, because I'm doing some other things with it, and it's going to mess up my accounting, so I'm just going to leave it lie. But if you watch the short-term chart, if you want to do a weekly on this, this is the place to watch it. And this was a place to get in here when we got this hook down. And we got confirmation here when price went below the low of the previous candle. That was a confirmation, and that would have been a place to get in. Note on the long term, that was a bad week, wasn't it? We got a hook down on K here. So there may be a long-term bearish trade here, but I'm a little concerned about this movement here. That's a huge movement. I don't know that long-term whether we're going to test this bottom and rebound or what. So I would be a little hesitant on anything long term on Apple at this point. Amazon, it's pretty flat right here in the midterm. Long term, no entry. Short term, no entry. You might be going into a new uptrend because the moving average did turn up here. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm going to put my list up here so I don't cover stocks that we're already in. We're in the 3 C's here. Baidu. Alright, we have a downtrend. We are down here. We're down here. And nothing happening over here, so there's no entry for today on that. The 3 C's we're in. Google we're in. Let's take a peek at, we're in MasterCard, so we don't need to take a look at that. And Priceline. Alright. Uptrend, we're up here, no entry. Uptrend, we're in the middle trying to figure out what's going on here on the midterm. And really on the short term, there could be something here, but overall this trend here is kind of down. So, looking at the actual price action and looking at the MACD, MACD's pulling up. It's gaining some positive momentum here. I would like to see it blow past the 0 line. Don't know that that's going to happen. Again, Priceline, I need very, very clear signals from Priceline. Panera, downtrend. We might be looking for something up here. Let me draw a little circle. And we'll just like something to pull our eyes to it for future scans. If you will draw the circle for me, I would appreciate it. Alright, thank you there. Thank you. Okay, that's it for the daily scan. Now, what I was talking about before, we go over to charts. And I already have this set up. And I'll show you how I set this up. You just go to profit charts here. And you enter the symbol that you want. Now, here's what is kind of weird about profit charts is that the symbols are different for the odd things like cash indexes and futures. They have different symbols. So I had to actually I haven't used this in a while, so I had to come over here and try to figure it out. So the cash S&P 500 is $SPX. And then you go over to the chart settings here and you say, I want to do a comparison chart. And that pops up a little dialog box here for you to work with. And it gives you, I had added these previously a long time ago, so they're just kind of sitting here for my comparisons. And what you can do is you just, let me just delete this one. You can see that the chart changes instantaneously. So all we're looking at right now is SPX. If you want to compare it to NASDAQ, and this is what I wanted to compare it to, and then you just double click it and it shows up down here, or you can just click it and select add index and it'll add it down here, or you can enter any symbol you want and then you have to click the add symbol. Let's say Apple, and then Apple gets added onto there. Now the other thing that I do is, rather than do price comparison, and the problem with price comparison is it tries to show all those prices on this chart, and there's just vastly different prices on the indexes here and on Apple, that it compresses everything down and it just doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't overlay it either. It puts them kind of on special sections of the chart. So you can see that there's no way that you can compare this. This just doesn't make any sense. So if you go back to percent, and basically it's just saying that, you know, it moved this percent today, moved that percent. So they're all at least visible on the chart on the same grid. So that's what we're looking for. All right, so this is interesting, isn't it? Let's take a look at Apple, which Apple is, comparison chart Apple is this limey green color here. Blue is the NASDAQ, and white is the S&P cash index. And you're just looking to see how things move against each other here. So Apple had a huge run-up. I think this was that new iPhone, whatever thing launch. I forget. There's so many iPhones out there. iPhone i5 XYZ or something like that. I don't know. And then it just crashed. And you can see how it. Let's just go here and just take this one part out. Let's take. We would have to take this out. We'll just do $sign comp up here. And then Dow Jones. Oh, that's composite index. What was NASDAQ? NASDAQ $sign comp Q. There. Okay. Now we just have, even though we're just overlaying comp Q on the blue line here twice, how Apple is sucking this down, especially the last couple of days. And when you say, let's look at the Dow, well, the Dow is up. So Dow's moving up, NASDAQ's moving down, whereas usually NASDAQ and the Dow kind of move in unison. And you can see how the influence that Apple has on the NASDAQ and on the S&P 500 actually, because it's such a high price stock and it's so heavily traded, it's weighted more on the indexes. So when it makes a move, it has a huge effect on these indexes. And they're pretty much in step here. The NASDAQ and Apple. In comparison to the Dow Jones, had a pullback here back in November, and now it's recovering some. So this is an unusual occurrence, and it's just an index, you know. It's an unusual occurrence, but this is just to say that Apple has a huge influence on these indexes. And that's really all I wanted to show you. You can play around with profit charts. I still prefer Thinkorswim charts, but there are some things that profit charts do that Thinkorswim doesn't do well, and comparison is one of them. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and happy trading.